All right, everyone, welcome to our August 11th, 2023 edition of This Week in Crypto. I'm your host alongside our co-host and founder, Maxim. How are you, Max?
Hi, Brian. All good, all good. Sam is back. We have sunny days. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well,
Yeah,
doing well. It looks to be a very intriguing time. I'm seeing news about a potential ETF, ARK
yeah, yeah.
Invest, potentially being launched in the next 48 hours or so.
Not, no,
And
not,
it looks like the markets. Go ahead.
yes, not exactly. I mean, this ETF topic is uh, constantly coming and going. But the thing is
Yeah.
that this time it's two factors. One, I remember 4 or 5 days ago, we were analyzing, actually, Gary, he provided snapshots that the major social publications were monitoring and influencers they were expecting breakout. All of them, like on one day. And you know, when the crowd, they represent the crowd expectations, is waiting for something, it never comes. Or in this case, it comes with some postpone effect. And then we say, we make a note for us, okay, well, this 4 or 5 days, nothing will happen in the next 2 3 days. And you see the price action is just boring. And everyone turned mostly to, okay, nothing happens here. And there were a lot of other things going on. I don't know, this crazy tokens around, we'll see if we come to it. But in this particular case, because of this ETF and some patterns, let's say I see like on data or the price actions, it does look like breakout. It's about to happen in the next, as you say, it's 48 hours. So this is one good example of behavior analysis. When there is a consensus in the market, you can like 95% be sure it will not happen or it will not happen now. Yeah, crowd sometimes is right, but it's just not at the right time or never at the right time. And I think we are, based on that analysis from 5 days ago and some on-chain and other patterns, we're about to have a breakout in Bitcoin, Ethereum. And most likely, and this is now an alpha indicator, it will be connected with ETF. It is supposed to be announced decisions or they have a deadline on a Sunday, so probably it will be announced today. Some speculate it will be announced after the market is closed, possible. So whatever the decision is, it doesn't matter. Important is price will probably move very strongly before and during announcement, and it will be given in a reasoning or explanation. Imagine price goes down. So, and the explanation is, I just give some examples how it can be used. Price now goes down in Ethereum, let's say below 1,800. The explanation is that's it. No ETF will never be accepted. So you know, okay, that's a buy signal from contrarian point of view. Imagine price goes up and ETF is accepted, and we are like pumping like, and everyone is excited. So there will be probably like a sell signal. Yeah, there are other variations. Price can go up, but it's rejected. In any case, if we see combination of price moving strongly and consensus discussing connecting it to ETF, it can reveal how you can act as a contrarian. And I like quite convinced it will happen in the next 48 hours. Yeah. So it's a long speech, but it's
Yeah.
one of the most important because other than that, there is not much to discuss in Bitcoin Ethereum. We just need to be patient, wait till price moves, see what is announced, see what people are projecting into the future based on this announcement, and do opposite. Or majority project into the future. If the majority again like split, like we've seen lately, there are some bearish calls calling for 25, 26, 28,000 in Bitcoin. There are some constantly bullish calls, mostly from bigger institutions. You don't do much if there is a split, but as soon as the consensus is here, a major expectation directed to one direction, you say, okay, cool, now I can make a call. Otherwise, you just better be patient.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking in forward to, being able to check out some of the metrics that reflect this potential upcoming breakout that many of us at least here at Santiment, anticipate could happen. And as you're mentioning, Maxim, there's kind of a contrarian element to this where there are a lot of people who are kind of feeling very stagnant and like this will continue to just be a ranging or even a decline back to 25K eventually. And that further increases the probability of a rise.
Yes. For the data, so as simple as it goes, and in the rare cases I don't usually put it in the forefront. It's pretty much technical analysis where you see specific pattern like conversion, support, and resistance lines. And with most of the time, I like to bring on table and discuss on-chain and social metrics, but sometimes it's simple. You clearly see on both Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it just makes it important when it's in both assets. Support resistant lines and relatively short time frames, just conversion. Extension is here, it will be resolved. And you combine it with social analysis. Okay, they expected to be resolved 4 days ago. Instead, it just gets to this conversion. So it will happen now. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Sometimes you don't need to overcomplicate things. Yeah, because of when we try to make complex and we'll try to look for something in the data. But inside it's coming, you look into this flow of data or sometimes chart, and it strikes you. And you, from observation, what you read or what you what will be analyzed in social media, there is nothing like this. For more complex analysis, we can go, and that's why I suggest we spend more time on 2 specific altcoins. Yeah, as we saw before the stream, RBL and JMix. There we have our very nice, beautiful setup on on-chain and social data, the full package. And in Bitcoin, Ethereum is as boring as it is, conversion trend lines, expectation volatility which did not materialize. But now ETF has event coming, so that's it. Nothing more to.
I'm looking forward. Looking forward to checking out those assets for sure. And before we go into a few of those metrics, briefly, just looking at the past week of data here, we can see Bitcoin and Ethereum are just slightly up, with Bitcoin up 0.7%, Ethereum up 0.5%. Shiba Inu, the meme coin that isn't named Dogecoin, it's been on a pretty great run here, up 16.3% for, I think, the second straight week, because last week it was also one of the leaders in percentage gains, and it's back up to in the top 20 at least. So it's surging along with a few others like Toncoin, Chainlink, OKB, Hedera, some of these other projects seeing some mild gains. And then we have some that are correcting pretty hard. Mantle is down. Sinfin, which was a huge winner last week, has lost 20% of its market cap. And Hex continues to plunge, with, I think, a lot of trust evaporating for Richard Hart among the community that was once very loyal to Hex. So interesting to see on the social volume end too. We're seeing increases on Bitcoin and Ethereum discussion compared to a week ago. Tether really starting to get some increase in talk. Shiba, of course, as you'd expect, 76% more discussions this week compared to the week prior. So here's where a lot of attention has been going. Even Solana seeing a mild gain in discussion despite being, well, actually it has been up 6%. So yeah, I mean, overall, the market cap has risen very slightly, even though volume, see, this might kind of support what Maxim is saying, where there's almost a disinterest in the markets right now. So even though market cap is up, the volume is down about 12% at the moment, indicating there's just simply less trading going on, which is not necessarily a bad thing whatsoever. But
yeah, could be both. It is generally no, I cannot. I just wanted to say it's generally a good sign, but it can it can stay for a very long time, so you can't really use it for any trading strategies. But this dying effect, what you're saying about volumes, we honestly observed everywhere, and this JMix we will touch, or DYDX, really volume dropped so much. And I don't even talk about NFTs, where it's like reminds me 2018-19 after I saw the date. So, but it can stay for some time. It can stop just here because it cannot go any lower. No like predictor to reversal, but it can also be like this for another 3 months. So no,
Right. I think with
cannot really use it for any viable strategy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all it really means when trading volume is down this much, it means your $37 trades out there have that much more impact on the overall piece of the pie in terms of total volume. So it can move markets just a little bit more when there's less volume and less other large trades going on to interfere with some of your trades. So that's really what it means more than anything. But yeah, let's jump into things.
Sure.
Obviously, as Maxim mentioned, we're going to keep the Bitcoin and Ethereum analysis fairly brief this call so we can get into some stablecoin analysis as well as a few of the altcoins that Maxim mentioned we wanted to get into. As for a few of the very brief things worth mentioning on Bitcoin, you know, we have to always take a look at how the 10 to 10,000 BTC tier is looking, and it's continuing kind of its month and a half long decline in holdings. It isn't a big decline by any means, but you know, we're continuing to see some of these gains start to evaporate a little bit, which is disappointing. And then at the same time, Tether is also going down a bit, while USDC, on the other hand, the number 2 stablecoin by market cap, it has risen all the way back to its highest mark since February. So kind of a mixed bag there, and I think they kind of wash each other out. So the top 2 stable coins are fine overall. BUSD also growing quite a bit with these key sharks and whales up to about 7.7% held. DAI also rising. And then the smaller stable coins like TrueUSD and Paxos Standard. TUSD is down. Paxos is kind of staying flat at the moment after its big ascension about a month ago. We should also mention that stable Bitcoin dominance, that is, it's about flat at the moment. You know, we were seeing a lot of discussion about it at the beginning of July. Pretty much ever since the original ETFs, BlackRock and them were announced, we saw a big increase in interest in BTC. And then as BTC started to fade ever so slightly, the dominance kind of went back down. And, you know, I guarantee that some of this deduction in BTC social dominance is due to the Shiba Inu discussions. XRP and Chainlink have been getting an increased look, even Solana. So there's some interest in this line, especially if it starts to get below the 0% mark again, which is marked by 20% of all discussions in BTC. If it falls below 20% here, that's where you need to be a little concerned that people might be getting a little too greedy and looking toward alternative investments in altcoins instead of BTC, which tends to prop up the rest of the markets, whether you're a maxi or not. Most people accept that that is the case. I want to also mention funding rates. You know, we were actually seeing a few more longs yesterday. We are seeing a few shorts popping up now. Binance Coin, people are shorting. Ontology, Scale, and Thorchain among those that are getting shorted. XRP continues to be the funding rate that pops out the most to me, where it's continuously getting a long bias going on, with many people expecting it to rebound after its huge ascension a month ago after its victory over the SEC. Any final things? NVT, Bitcoin continues to look bearish, not getting a ton of circulation. Obviously not the end of the world though. We've seen that prices have risen since December, despite really staying in this red bearish section for quite some time. And then finally, MVRV, mostly still semi-underbought. It may not always feel like this, but yeah, the midterm ranges, looking at the 30, 90, and 180 day MVRVs combined, we're seeing that the vast majority are still showing that average trading returns are underwater. Particularly if you want one pick, quick swap appears to be the most underbought, with bounce right behind it. These are all essentially Binance assets, so they are tradable if you have that exchange, and many other exchanges support some of these. On the overbought side of the spectrum, we have Merit Circle, Maker, Shiba Inu, and STPT, StormX, also worth mentioning. So just a few on each end, based on how trading returns are going, that you should be keeping tabs on, since at the end of the day, crypto is a zero-sum game, and you have to be able to pay attention to how other traders are doing within any of these assets that you might have interest in. But I think that's a good enough synopsis of just the general markets. We can try two different things, Maxim. We could either look at some stablecoin data first, or go right into a few of the altcoins you wanted to check out.
I think let's go to altcoins. Gary, did you share it in the, wait a second, in which yeah, it was in our market intel channel, yeah.
RLB and GMX,
yes,
right?
Yes. Open. Perfect. Yeah, any.
I'll just get them both pre-toggled up here. Okay, so let's start with RLB and see what's going on.
Yes, the reason we pick it up, well, twofold. In boring markets, this moves up is always interesting and attracting. Yeah, interesting to look into. And it was, according to Gary, when he was analyzing, in top consumers of gas on the Ethereum network, among top, yeah. And they had a very good news when you see this big spike. Typical, as we know from the past, good news comes on the top. So it's by itself already attracted attention, but markets, especially crypto, are crazy. It can come shortly before or after the top. And now when we saw that it starts showing, or actually shows already, this typical behavior, price keep pushing, but both from the top consumers, from gas and Ethereum network, from here, trading volume, or delective or network activity, you will see the divergences like showing everywhere, and especially this good news 3 days ago. Then you say, okay, this is an example where you can place it on your screen and see how it will typically work when top is building. So we assume, or I assume now, that we are very close to the top, maybe already at. Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit. By the way, what is the time frame here on your screen?
So we're looking at basically since the start of, well, actually it's the past 3 months. Mm-hmm. I don't think it really goes past there anyway. Yeah. So trading really starts in January. Yeah. So we'll just keep it at 3 months.
Yeah. So you can.
So here's trading volume.
Yes. What was the first one? I thought the first one was trading volume.
This first one is active
addresses. All right. Okay. It just in my setups usually it's this color is for trading volume. So if we were thinking, can we short it or not, just to play around, but unfortunately it's not possible. Still, if we would short, we would wait 2 days, because this divergence, you want it to be over 24 hours. It means the price did a new all-time high, or new high in this cycle, and you wait for 24 hours for all metrics to evolve. Yeah, because it depends when the price pumped. It can be like an Asian session or European. So you want to American session, come and play it around, see if the volume, speed on chain or trading, how they developed, and then you assess. Yeah. So we're still like kind of in a position to wait maybe 24 hours. But as you can see from the chart, the price is higher, the volumes, be it trading or chain, are not picking up yet. Or they're picking up, but they're not as high. And we know that the good news was 3 days ago, and we know that was a top consumer of gas 3 days ago. So it fits into the picture or in our framework, how we usually perceive to be okay. It looks like a topish setup. You can also scroll down. I think there was social volume or social dominance. It's declining. If even need to be, yeah, it is declining. Yeah, it is declining, but it's not so big. On this metric alone, I would not do any decisions. Typically, I would prefer to be social dominance around 1% to 2%. Means it's really like massive action. So there is a period where everyone is excited, and then latecomers are. Here, it probably is the case, but the volume, social volume, is not as big to base decisions on this only. There are coins like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu where you can make decisions just based on this metric alone, nothing else. Look for divergence in dominance, and you know where the top is coming. Anything else? What was on this chart layout? Well,
Age consumed.
yes. Also, in this case, I mean, when you look on this screen, it's already very interesting how age consumes always before coincided with short-term pullback. So you could assume that some of the holders were coming into it and temporarily putting pressure down. Yeah, and then during the last or the current spike, is getting lower and lower age consumes. So I guess those who wanted to sell or were worried did it, and the level of worriness disappearing. I think it's coming into the level of conviction how cool it is, and conviction or there's a lack of worries is always not the best thing. And if you close this, I think the interesting one was the next one, not this. No, okay, this is just moves around like it's crazy. So you see how much profit taking is taking place, yeah. Which by itself is actually good. I prefer always to see profit taking happening, but it's the first cycle, so it might kill the whole price too. Close it. There was a distribution band balances. That was interesting. So lower, somewhere lower. I think probably Gary's chart layout at the very end. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So what's the price of it? Of one token, how much is it?
18.8 cents.
Okay. So if you start selecting groups, you will see that till specific group, everyone is buying. Yeah, especially small one. It's just increasing, and then starting from big ones, I think from 1 million, if I remember, you can see some declines. Well, 1 million, not so big, I mean, like 1 million. Yeah.
So 1 million is this one. Yep, it's starting to flatten
so
out.
This is the ones, and they haven't done it constantly, or let's say on a big scale. If they would be doing it for some time, you could assume it's probably market makers who is setting up regular or slow selling off of the tokens. But this they're prepared, as you saw, age consumed, and tokens moved. Probably the moment they realize, okay, that's it for the current top, it will be very rapid decline, just because of wallets, or let's say the total balance is so high, of this 1 million to 10 millions. And I would watch for it. So I would say, or you remove the price, it's not in chat anymore. But behavior of 1 million, then 24 hours waiting, is divergence is confirmed, step number one. And then close look those who hold in 1 million above. What are they doing? Yeah, you see this started already. It looks like they're preparing, and especially this 1 million to 10 million. The other 10 million is probably most likely exchange wallets, so they can increase or decrease. Doesn't tell us much, but those between 1 million and 10 million, it means 100,000 rounds. That's probably whales, most likely whales, or some early investors. They will, the moment they start doing, it's a relatively small circle, it will start spread around, the others will follow. So the price will decline very fast. Okay, so two-step strategy. 24 hours waiting, divergence confirmed, yes, no. If no, okay, you still wait. The moment divergence is confirmed, this cohort of holders, you are very closely monitoring it. And this was, we wanted to share, or let's say, show how we usually analyze things. There are some variations, as you know. It depends on maturity of the project. Sometimes we even consider some fundamental metrics, but purely behavior, divergence and behavior of big holders. This would define. Small we saw, small like on board, keep buying. And once the small holders are buying, you already know, okay, they are on board. Now you only wait till flip is happening. Okay, that was for this Rollbit coin. We can go to the next one.
All right, so here's GMX.
Yeah.
And we are seeing a big volume spike here.
Yes, GMX is a bit different story. Yeah. First, it's an established project with quite nice utility, and we've been analyzing actually some data from GMX, from the stats GMX IO to see the market sentiment, where you see who and how big people are short and long, especially if you take Arbitrum network. On Avalanche, I wouldn't recommend using it. It seems to be quite professional, so you cannot use as purely contrarian, but on Arbitrum you can. So it's quite used, quite utilized. But what we noticed recently, it's a sequence of several steps. First, the price was a kind of under pressure for some time. It's not a big problem per se, but then big wallets dumped it or moved their funds, and the reasoning they choose to dump, I don't know if it was publicly known or not, but the profitability of all the GMX token dropped significantly. There used to be a time where, according to one of our team members, it was 30-40% API per year, just because the trading volume was big on the platform and it was redistributed, or revenue from trading volume was redistributed to those who stake GMX tokens. Now it dropped a lot, and it looks like it was enough for some whales to trigger, okay, I sell before others selling. It's always the classic model. Yeah. The moment one or two selling, the others are following. That's why Rollbit will happen the same. And this is what we see now in the charts. Exit. Yeah. Exit those who, and it's actually gets into irrationality. So in opposite to Rollbit, in GMX, we considering, do we have enough confidence or evidence to go long on GMX token? Yeah, it's the other way around. And extreme high volumes, good. It means there is some level of panic or redistribution event. And if you look into other metrics, you will see a lot of things happening.
So down here we have social volume, which has been
spiking, not critical, or let's say not so big yet, but it's increasing.
Yeah, it looks like yesterday or 2 days ago was a pretty big spike there. Yeah. And then here is a big spike in whale transaction count, the most we've seen.
Yes.
So what can we make of the fact that whale transactions, we suddenly see a breakout of 38 in 4 hours?
Well, we know that quite some of them are exiting, so that we know. And short term, yes, it will put price under pressure. But long term, it means why do they exit? They feel very concerned. because it was really perceived to be one of the best tokens. And after a long time of decline, the point was reached when you say, okay, it's enough for me. I feel pain to the existing. It's a pain. What you see on your chart, it's a pain of peak holders, who, regardless that they already lost, if you compare it to the top, they say, okay, better cut my losses now. Or maybe they did not lose. We never know when they, or we don't know exactly where all of them buy. But they say, okay, now I'm leaving now before I lose even more. Before I lose even more. So this is the pain and expectation of lower price by big holders, which is one of the main reasons we look carefully to it. When there is a pain, there is an opportunity. Yeah. Yeah, everything.
And then also we have a big transaction volume spike here at the same time.
It's huge. Yeah. If you look into the historically, it's I did not check for the whole time, but it seems to be, at least for the last 6 months, one of the highest. And it's breaking low, I think, the previous low, or attempt to do it. The price.
Yep.
Yep. So
and then let's take a look at, so price here, it's at about $45.
Yeah, I usually count 50. It was around 50 long time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, actually, I didn't look into the specific chart. Let's see like a smaller ones. Did they, or do they try to buy the bottom or not? Because ideally, we want them not to buy the bottom. So we want them to get scared.
It doesn't look like there's anything. We see one big one here, but that wasn't really that. It was prior to the price really falling out. But yeah, other than that one tier, nothing really special.
Yeah. If someone would be looking for ideal setup, we would see retail following in decreasing their balances. At the moment, looks like it's a cohort between 100,000 million. Yeah, pretty much. This very big holders who are decreasing their holding. This blue line, right? Is it the one?
The blue is 100,000 to a million.
Yeah, so it's very big holders. This is exactly what we're talking about, who've been decreasing and exiting, I think, all the way from staking. So if a smaller group, if you combine on this chart layout, everyone holding 0.1 to, let's say, 100, can you do merge? Yeah. Deselect all others just to make it clean.
So which tiers?
Yeah, 0.1. No, 0.1, yes, and then till 100. Yeah, this one and next. Yeah,
got it.
So it's kind of rather. So you want to see kind of nick down in this group to make a really perfect setup. It would mean that the news reach to them. Probably someone will spread around that the whales are leaving the ship, and there is no profits anywhere, and there are better projects, which arguably in this case actually is true. There are on Synthetics built some protocols which are doing similar stuff or planning to do similar stuff. So this narrative, leave the ship before it's too late, might get traction. And it will be reflected in this line of smaller holders. So then it's a perfect setup, in my opinion. Yeah, and I think that's it. Unless, let's see what Gary else have. Yeah, and, you see, divergence actually on daily effective is here. We have crashing price, but rapidly increasing network activity, which is often what we like to see. It's a kind of sign of redistribution event. I don't know if we calculate a mean dollar invested age for Arbitrum. Scroll down. I don't know. That would visualize even better. No, I see it will not work because there is age consume some bugs on data level. This is age consume. Gotcha. So it would influence also mean dollar invested age if we have it here. But still, from what I've seen here, whales are moving. Activity is increasing dramatically. It is all signs of redistribution event. Yeah.
We see MVRV here at the bottom too.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it was huge back in July, and now it's down to 44%.
Yeah. And you have also one anecdotal set up. Usually when I analyze or have an intention to do something, I'm one move, one short cycle before. And I was thinking about GMX like 1 month ago. So 1 month passed, maybe because I'm quite often a bit too early to things. But it's anecdotal. It's not a trading strategy. It's just for myself. I say, okay, if I was thinking about 1 month ago, now it's the time to think seriously about it. Yeah, well, when we publish the stream, we will do the split in timeline outline will be in JMix, and there will be links to chat layer. Gary, please place them. Your chat layer is so good, and you can then, in all quietness at home, when you look on the screen, just browse around and go up and down and see for yourself what we mean, and you can apply it to most of other tokens. There are some exceptions, especially like meme coins, they behave a bit different, but the general approach will be similar. Look for rationality eyes on top, on the bottom, reflected through a different set of metrics, and then you can prepare your position. Yes, so Brian, I wanted us to spend today more time on it, as it's thanks to Gavin, Maxim, now it seems I shared this part, and so okay, isn't it interesting?
Yeah, I love looking at some of these abstract assets that we don't typically take a look at. I think you can learn a lot from sort of seeing the patterns of fairly new assets like this and seeing how we can kind of react and anticipate their next moves and apply them to even some of the bigger assets out there. So I really appreciate you going through some of these. Maybe what we can do now is look through a few of the social trend things to check out to see if there's something going on here. And one thing I saw before the stream is the fact that we are seeing a lot of big buy calls at the moment, not to a huge extent, but this candle right here is enough to indicate that we're at the highest point in buy calls in about 3 weeks or so. So it does look like maybe there's a little uptick in optimism at the moment. I can even apply social dominance and see that this spike is showing that there's a high percentage of discussions relating to buying or being bullish at the moment. Whereas bearishness, it's kind of in its usual pattern. So I think that's worth keeping an eye on. Maybe just a very slight uptick in bullishness, and maybe Reddit has a lot to do with it. You can see this bar right here really poking out right now as we speak. Another thing I wanted to look at is ARC or 21 shares. I see that it is, according to one of our team members, it's delayed, and that should potentially put a little bit of a damper in the crowd's optimism going into the weekend, if that's indeed true, and we're maybe waiting for another date for this to be announced. So keep an eye on that. And, you know, with the ETF news, you know, at any moment things can change. But for now, it looks like there's a delay and people get upset when a potentially bullish piece of news is suddenly put on the back burner.
But that will be ideally from how market is irrational on as a result of this objectively, or let's say rationally bad news, irrationally will pop up. That's what markets sometimes all love to do. All news, or let's say specific news, is bad, and it just goes other way around. So I would not be surprised if it just now go up, at least for some time, because of because
true.
many market participants would try to rationally go in the short position, and they will be squeezed. Yeah. The other small professional sharks who doesn't give any value to all this news, they just look in the market structure, say, oh, okay, shorts are here, let's kill them, and they do it.
Right. So really what you're saying is it depends just how much the crowd overreacts to this delay. And if people get very, very upset and throw a tantrum about it, that actually would be a bullish indicator. If it's kind of just people shrugging their shoulders, maybe that actually causes a small pullback. So let's see. We mentioned MVRV. Whale transactions, we can also look at that and see if there are any that are getting a large amount of whale transactions. I see that ARB-GMX, the one that Maxim was just referring to, this one is way up there at the moment. Orchid is getting a huge amount of whale transactions, so that is worth keeping an eye on if you're interested in that asset. Shiba Inu, we can see that it's way up there. In fact, I think that's a good topic for us right before we get into a couple questions, assuming there are a few. Let's look at Shiba Inu's metrics for a moment on the on-chain and social and development end, and see if anything is popping up there. So on the transaction volume USD side, we see that there is a huge spike going on. Oh, this is actually only up to the 4th, so let's make sure it is latest. There we go. So yeah, we had the big spikes here right before the top. Then we had another one just as it was correcting, which actually sent it right back up. And now we've got slightly declining trading volume. It's still very high compared to the normal resting level. On-chain transaction volume has kind of come back down to earth now. But in terms of actual trader interest, it does look like there's a small dip off right now. Daily active addresses pretty neutral, and circulation has come back to earth as well. So utility wise, really nothing special there. On the MVRV side, this looks odd. Something looks strange here. Let me just check something to see if it's only the intraday that's having an issue. Okay, that's better. So we'll take off intraday for a moment. 30-day is on now, and we'll put 365-day along with it. Okay, so 30-day MVRV, yeah, it does look like we are overheated as you would expect at about plus 19.5%. The long term, though, is only at plus 1.8%. If you remember, before this big rally over the last couple of weeks for Shiba, it was really not doing much at all. It was kind of declining with the rest of altcoins and actually falling behind many of them up until this time. So yeah, there could still be an argument that the long term has some potential to break out still. And we may not be at a top just yet, according to MVRV. Nothing on the funding rate end. Whale transactions, as you'd expect, all of the whale transactions really occurred right at the top there before declining. And we did see an uptick here. So there was some profit taking for sure going on just yesterday, but it's dropping off just a little bit now. And now let's take a look at the supply distribution tiers. And with Shiba Inu being such a small priced asset at the moment at 0.00001, we need to look at the very, very top tiers to really identify where the whales are. So I think that probably these three are the only relevant ones because everything else, yeah, so starting $1 million to 10 million, that's where we're starting to see some profit takes happening. 2.2% for the 100 million to 1 billion. 10 million to 100 million looks pretty flat. And then these 1 billion plus, these are mostly going to be founder addresses. So I do see, if we add price really quick, I do see that there might be a little bit of concerning profit taking going on at the moment here. Yeah, so you can see the orange line, the 1 million to 10 million, there started to be some profit taking here on the 4th. And then this was the big profit take just 2 days ago. Yeah, I mean, it's slightly concerning, but I do like that the 100 million to a billion line, which is really where the meat of the sharks and whales are, they're still staying up there, and they hold 2.2% of the supply at the moment. So perhaps we've got a little more run before things correct. But watch that yellow line closely. I think 100 million to a billion is about right for the key stakeholders in this case. Also take a look at the ratio of transaction volume and profit to loss, which is currently going to be, that's the even mark. So yeah, we saw, this is a great indicator for Shiba. We saw it go very high, right around the top, and then immediately there's a bunch of loss taking. So that really shows how many people were buying when it was right at the top here. And then they sold at a loss right at the bottom. And now all of a sudden, people are profit taking again, which indicates we might be seeing a short-term correction. It's obviously not as big of a profit taking bar as we saw back on the 6th, but this is still showing that, you know, more than 2 to 1 of transactions are profit taking transactions, which is rather high. And those do coincide with a lot of local tops, as we can see. So maybe we wait to see if this bar starts to cool down a little bit, gets more neutral, and that would be a good time to maybe get back into Shiba. But right now, this indicator indicates that we are overheated for sure due to a lot of profit taking going on. Not much dormant movement. That's worth keeping an eye on as well. Very interesting to see that there was this huge loss, network realized loss that went on 2 days, or just yesterday, I should say, and not a ton of huge profit taking spikes at all. So that's a good sign that could indicate that Shiba has a little more run in it as well. Also, if you follow our Twitter, you may have seen earlier this week, we pointed out that supply and exchanges are staying very low right now, despite the fact that prices are so inviting for people to put money back on exchanges to try and sell off. So this is a very good long-term sign indicating that people are not moving their coins to exchanges to sell off, at least more so than the coins that already existed on the exchanges. Also worth checking out the social dominance. Obviously, this was the big FOMO mainstream spike where everyone was trying to get in and then got kind of rug pulled when the price moved down right afterwards. That is completely normal and what we would expect. And now social dominance is rising once again. This is the second largest day of Shiba Inu discussion, pretty much since May, it looks like. So we are starting to creep up high and the mainstream is paying attention to Shiba. It's another sign that we might be topping off here soon. People might be anticipating whether the price can get above this local top that we saw last week. And obviously weighted sentiment is going to be quite high with social volume being as high as it is right now too. So yeah, overall, it does look like short term, it's looking a little dicey for Shiba, but there's still some long-term indicators like that low supply and exchanges, which looks a little more optimistic that Shiba could have some long-term run if you can be patient and wait out the volatility that's bound to continue. All right, with our last 5 to 10 minutes, maybe we can take a couple questions from the audience. Gary, if you see any requests.
Didn't see much. Looks like this boring market in some locations. Yeah, but I don't know, Gary, did you say anything? Mm-hmm.
No problem. I think, you know, we could probably stop the stream here. Do you have any final words, Maxim, on just the markets and things we should check out going into the weekend?
Yeah, unfortunately, this market has both now signs for good reasons to go down and some reasons to go up. Good reasons to go down is, as you touch the Shiba Inu, other meme coins, or other not really able to pull the whole market up, coins pumping. typically it's at the end of the cycle what we see. So it's kind of concerning. But our expectations for the market, if it goes up, I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum is anyway not high. I still limit my expectations, Ethereum to 4 or Bitcoin 38 around. It's possible, but I'm slowly losing confidence it might happen. Maybe the moment I lose, then it happens. But this is, if we connect to the normal market, which is surprisingly resilient so far, yeah, and keeps trying to push up, might happen that it will be enough reason for players try to squeeze all shorts and to surprise to the upside. It's possible. It's just this flow of altcoins, like meme coins, coming out of nowhere and pumping. And whenever we go up, immediate inflow of positive expectations, it makes me feel concerned. But if I manage now on the wake of this postponed ETF decisions, so irrational will be go up. So we'll see. Actually, that would be fun. Great news, but we go up. And in the next 24 hours, no big positive expectations on news coming on media, crypto media, CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, or some influencers, and they keep quiet for some time. Okay, it will increase my confidence. But at the moment, I have no real confidence for the whole market either direction. It's more about the small coins. It looks like interesting game. And some of them on a short side, and some of them lower side or upside. That's the summary.
Yeah, I think that's a good synopsis. And one thing I want to add on to Maxim's nice insights there is the fact that the ratio of many of the top assets in crypto and their profit to loss right now, almost all losses, right? And I think that's important to keep an eye on. In terms of swing trading indicators, this is quickly becoming one of my favorites here. And we see Bitcoin in particular, its ratio of losses is matching the same low that we saw here at the end of July when it was kind of flat. But for the most part, when you see these consistent loss-taking transactions being overwhelming compared to profit-taking transactions, that does increase the likelihood of bottoms forming. May not be a long-term bottom, but at least on the weekly scale, I think this is one of the more bullish indicators that we have right now. What we don't want to see is a bunch of this, right? A bunch of high profit taking that would indicate that we're about to top out. But we're not seeing any of that right now. We're seeing the opposite, with losses really piling on top of each other as people kind of get bored and impatient with the markets and the way that they've gone lately. So keep that in mind. Watch the supply and exchanges for a lot of assets, because a lot of people make extreme moves during these flat times that can become irrational and kind of foreshadow where our next move is going to be. But yeah, on behalf of Maxim, thank you for your extended discussions about a lot of the subjects that we don't normally look at here on Santiment. And I want to thank everyone who joined for another great crypto call today. Thank you for all your participation, both here and in our Discord community. And make sure to sign up for Sandbase Pro or try a 1-week trial if you haven't. I think this is a great time to look into our metrics, because the pros out there who are making money despite these flat markets, they're doing so by looking at the kind of indicators that we offer at Santiment to see which assets are kind of diverging from the pack right now. And obviously they're going in all different directions, and you can really take advantage. So keep that in mind. Yep. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. And thank you, Gary, for the stream running as always.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Gary. Thank you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.